You're lo que Knicks Nation. You already know the time, man. It's your boy Triple M in the building, and you know how we do right here. It's time to go to Cancun. The Knicks season is officially over. Knicks lose 130 to 109 to the Indiana Pacers and lose to the Indiana Pacers in 7 games. Once again, the Knicks are eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. 53-year title drought continues for the Knicks. And before I get into what a season it was, and we're going to talk about all that, it was just only fitting that Jalen Brunson fractures his hand to basically tie the season and end the season. You know, a season so full of promise, so full of hype, derailed by injuries. Absolutely derailed by so many injuries that no team uh, has had to deal with as far as postseason wise. So it was only fitting. I felt like that Jalen Brunson fractured his hand and stuff. So let's get into it, fellas. A gloomy mood. I'm in Miami right now. I'm about to go volleyball, 9 a.m. Volleyball because it's vacation, man. Vacation. I'm flying to Cancun tomorrow. Uh, Tell me how you feeling, Don Juan.
Not feeling good. Not feeling good, man. Last time I was on, man, it's like a complete, change of events. I was real positive, optimistic. I've been optimistic most of the season, but yeah, man, it's like you get a rug pulled from under you at this point. Especially after this series. Even with the injuries, I felt like we still had a chance, and unfortunately, the dice didn't roll our way. And like you said, that Brunson injury is fitting because of just it just seems like the NBA gods just didn't want us to win this year. And I'm not someone that ever brings the NBA gods up, but after noticing that Brunson had missed a while, I go on Twitter and got the official statement like he's out. I'm like, really? It's just unfair, man. It's just unfair, and I'm a bit still speechless. I had a lot of reflecting today, but I'm glad to at least be on the show. We can vent, get some thoughts in, see what you guys think, and maybe we come to some type of conclusion or closure of what a great season it was, honestly. And it just sucks that it ended that way.
For sure, for sure. I got to kick it to Captain Optimistic Zebo. How you feeling as the season ends?
Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not optimistic, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Morale is low right now. I thought we would be playing tomorrow. The fact that we're not playing tomorrow, it's been. I ain't gonna lie, man. The last 24 hours has been a nightmare. Like it's been pretty bad. I know right now we should be reflecting on the amazing season we had because this team did go through a lot of adversity and with all the circumstances, like we was able to overcome it. But to lose to the team that we lost to is just it's trash. The fact that TJ McConnell essentially was like the MVP of the series is trash. Hey, bro, y'all know Dominican moms, bro. Asking me, yo, why you support this team? Like having those type of conversations again is trash, bro. It's just Brunson breaking his hand, man. Seeing OG for like 5 minutes and just see him getting out of the game. It's just um morale's not good, but I know I should be a little bit more optimistic because it's gonna be a big off season and overall we had a great season. But right now it's still I ain't gonna lie, it still hurts. It still hurts, bro. It still hurts. I thought we would be playing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the pain is still fresh. But let's talk about it, fellas. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what went wrong on this series. I want to ask you guys, what's something besides the injury? Obviously, that's number one. But besides the injury, what went wrong in this series? And look, fellas, think about this. Game three, Nimhard with the shot clock running down. shoots a Hail Mary three and makes it. If he misses that shot, Knicks probably win, and we're going 3-0. And now you're talking about the series probably over because the Knicks are not going to lose 4 games in a row. So it's just like a lucky shot goes in, they win game three, they embarrass us in game four, come back home, take care of business for game five. Game six, once again, tough battle. The Pacers come out on top. And then that seventh game, man, we just didn't have it. Like, and that's why I felt like we had to win game six because I knew for game seven, just game six was so late at night to come back to New York for an early game. We never play good early. All season, we've struggled on these early matinees kind of games. And I knew that if we didn't win Friday, it was going to be tough to win on Sunday. I thought the crowd might have been able to pull us out with that win, but once the injuries happened and the OG fake Willis Reed moment didn't occur, I knew it was over. But yeah, for me personally, what went wrong in this series besides the injuries? Of course, we got to just keep on saying besides the injuries because our injuries was crazy. It was just kind of just we had nobody else. We had nobody else besides Brunson. Just had nobody else, and we had to rely on Alec Burks. Like that just tells you everything that went wrong with this series went wrong, and it kind of you kind of question like where can the Knicks improve, um, as far as getting somebody else to help Brunson, with the ball handling and taking the pressure. And you say Julius might be able to do that, and I would say yeah, but it's not enough. We still need another primary backup. I feel like that can handle the ball and just take the pressure off. But it kind of got exposed in this playoff because Zebo just mentioned T.J. McConnell. I mean, you just looked over and you saw him right there ready to check in, and it was kind of like the LeBron meme when it's like damn, T.J. McConnell coming in the game. It's like, damn, it's just T.J. McConnell, man. That guy was relentless this series. And kudos to the Indiana Pacers, man. They beat us. They beat us. They took advantage of whatever they had to take advantage, and they beat us. And I think this is going to be the beginning of a long rivalry. To be honest, it's going to be a good matchup for Knicks and Pacers for the next coming years. But Don Juan, what you think besides the injuries was the reason we lost this series?
Well, it's tough to ignore the injuries. Obvious that just pretty much been the story of all season. But it's something that probably reflects or goes along with the injuries is just ran out of gas. I mean, we knew that the Pacers was going to come in with their strategy. Their game plan is run and gun, and they literally played that scheme to the T. And even defensively, knowing that Brunson is pretty much the only scoring option, they were guarding Brunson from the inbound, like full court press, making it hard on him at times, whether it's double teaming him or just sending the biggest guy, which was Naismith or Neesmith. They put pressure on him the whole series, and it seemed like the first two games Brunson, had it a bit figured out. I believe those first two games, Nemhard was the primary defender. I think game two, they probably changed it up a bit. But if you notice, that's when Brunson was at his best, those first two games. And then after that, it seemed like, they either figured him out or the fatigue wall started hitting. And the reason why, personally, the reason why I had the Knicks in five was, well, obviously, part of that was I just thought we were the better team, considering we had OG as well at the time. But I also knew how important it was to beat these guys in five because once you start messing with an extended series with the type of team that the Pacers are, now it's gonna be a little bit of trouble, and that's exactly what happened. And then, like you mentioned, Triple M, that game three, I felt like that's a game that's gonna haunt me for a bit because we were winning by 9 points coming into that closing out that game, and you know mistakes here and there led to the Pacers getting back in the game, and some guy who pretty much had a bad game. I think it was like 1 for 5 or 1 for 6, and shoots a prayer. At the end of the day, it was still pretty open, and I don't even think there's not much pressure on that because it might have been a tie game, wasn't it? Or was they were yeah, it might have been a tie game. So even if he misses, like whatever. But yeah, that man, that shot is definitely gonna haunt me. And like I said, I just feel like we ran out of gas. Maybe there's some fingers to blame, but at the end of the day, is part of the fact that which is the injury part. I think that was probably the main thing. The Knicks couldn't really establish their own like toughness, grittiness because they lack that burst off of whether it's reading trying to go for a rebound or trying to stay in front of their man. If anything, I felt like at one point they were just cheating on defense. Whether it's getting in front of the passer, getting in front of like playing the passing lanes too much and forgetting their man and leaving the man open. Like it was just really sloppy at one point, and I'm gonna say that that's due to the fatigue that this team had.
I agree with you, Don Juan. It was fatigue was that's a great word. That's a great word. We just ran out of gas, man. We really did run out of gas. And that shot against Nimhard, I felt like Brunson. You remember that Rockets game where it was that BS foul call? I think
Hmm.
that was in the back of his mind. He's like, it's a shot clock running down. He has no shot to make it. Let me just contest, barely. And it's just like that's why Tibbs he says like the regular season games are so important, and he
Yeah,
coaches it like that. But that game 3, it is gonna haunt me as well. It's gonna
and
haunt
that
me
and
as well.
that was actually the game where you kind of felt like even the calls weren't obviously they're in Indy, but the calls weren't even in our favor either. We actually had to earn a lot of the calls, whereas at home, a lot of the calls were maybe going in our favor. But that's playoff
Yeah, I
basketball.
mean Rick Carlisle used that small market tactic, man. That was such BS because now it's like the league is like, all right, now, let's skew the calls a little bit more here because that's just an easy tactic to use, small market one, and that's what Rick Carlisle used. He got fined 50,000, but it was well worth it because now his team advances, and he'll get a little bonus here. But Zebo, what happened here in this series?
Yeah, bro. I think for me, bro, is Indiana just had way more healthy bodies than us. I hate to bring it back to the injuries, but when you have guys like T.J. McConnell, Obi Toppin, he had I mean, yo, kudos to that man
Hey,
because
they didn't have Ben
I don't know.
Mathurin, remember?
I mean, bro. I mean, regardless though, Obi game 5, game 6, man. He like game 7. I know he was kind of shaky, man, but he did his thing for them, man. When you have two guys like that coming off the bench that could alleviate the pressure off Halliburton, because bro, we had Halliburton like game 3. We had that man. So we had him limping. Like I don't know if y'all saw during the press conference, like this man could literally barely like get off the seat. Like we had him at that point. But when you have somebody like TJ McConnell that can come in for 25, 30 minutes and just automatically affect the game, it makes a big difference. Going back to the point you was making where Brunson doesn't have that. I mean, we were hoping that Deuce McBride could be that person, but again, we needed Deuce McBride to automatically be in the starting lineup for us. And as much as we like Deuce McBride, I think TJ McConnell, just because of age and experience, is just a little better player at this point. So um, it's just again, man, just their depth and like Don Juan was saying again, man, like every time Brunson had the ball in his hands, they was blitzing him. Like it would be Nemhard, but then it would be other guys that would just attack him every single time. He would see double teams, just people just run, literally rush to him right away. And so, and again, Dante. I mean, man, shout out to Dante because he had this series, but when you only have those two guys that can create their own shot, and not even Dante because he's more of a spot up guy, it just makes life 100 times harder for everybody else on the floor. And when you don't have OBs, when you don't have OG, that's 100%. When you don't have other guys there that can go ahead and create their own shot, it just puts too much pressure. It puts too much pressure on him. And at some point, bro, like as much as we want to as much as I kept saying, yo, I don't want to put no limitations on this guy. Like we just gonna ride with Brunson eventually, bro. It's gonna be too much. So I just think overall, bro, Indiana just had a little bit more depth. And like you said, once it got to game five, is you kind of treading waters at that point.
Yeah, what a game seven from Indiana, man. I mean, they shot incredible from the floor. 67% from the floor, fellas. 67%. They shot 54% from the 3-point line. And they just got a well balanced attack, man. And that's something the Knicks didn't have, man. They had one, two, three, four, five, six guys scoring double figures. They had one guy, Isaiah Jackson, scored nine, so basically seven. It
Right,
was
Isaiah
just
Jackson, come on, man. Like,
yeah, Isaiah was he's a pogo stick, man. That guy, he's a nice backup big. I like him. I like him a lot. But yeah, I mean, you just had Tyree shot 6 of 12 from downtown. Neesmith 2 of 2. Siakam 2 of 3. It was they had a well man. They weren't
McConnell
missing.
6 from 8, bro. Andrew Nemhard, bro. 8 for 10, bro. Come on,
Yeah,
like.
they just had they were not missing. It was pretty incredible shot making. I mean, I'm not gonna say all the shots were contested, but it was the defense was a step slow, but you had to make your shot, and they were
Yeah.
making it, and the Knicks weren't, and that's what
Hmm.
it just why you see the final score 130 to 109. But
Yeah. It was pretty surprising too, because in game sevens they usually are a little bit more physical, gritty game, low scoring game, and that was far from it. Because even the Knicks was putting up buckets.
yeah, that under was way got blown out the
Yeah,
water
it was like
big time. I know
207.
Don
So
Juan. I know Don Juan is the under guy. I know he got killed for that one. Uh, but
I stood away from that one. I stood away.
okay,
I stood
nice,
away,
nice.
man. We haven't been looking good on defense these last 3, 4 games, man.
But fellas, the injuries obviously were a major talking point in this series, and a lot of people they like using the Tom Thibodeau narrative. Does he overplay his players? You look at an injury like Josh Hart, abdominal strain. That's an injury from overplaying and overuse. OG hamstring injury as well. The other injuries you really can't correlate it to Tibbs, but I mean a lot of people are, especially on the media, fan base. So I want to get your thoughts, Zebo, on do you think Tibbs minutes are the cause of these injuries?
Nah, man. Man, the honestly, the disc like this question, bro. I know it's been a big question, but I don't understand it. I just honestly do not understand it. Like, what else is he supposed to do? Like, again, Bogdanovic was supposed to be Hart's backup, and again, he's not playing either. Like, it just, again, and a lot of these were like, again, the abdominal strain. I get it. That is a little bit of overwork, but he has no. But again, there's no other option. I mean, yeah, you do have Precious, but look at the minutes Precious gave us. It wasn't that valuable. What is he supposed to do? Like, he's doing the best with what he actually has on the floor, and it was extremely limited. Like, it just is what it is. And so the discourse when it comes to this question, bro, I just don't like it, because I think Tibbs has done a great he's done an amazing job. Like, he's done an amazing job this whole season. He did an amazing job during this playoffs. I think he made the adjustments whenever he had to make the adjustments. He worked well with the players that he actually had available. And so I don't so nah, I'm not putting none of this blame on him. Like, again, it is what it is. Like, injuries it is part of the game. It's unfortunate that it happened during this time during the playoffs. But we cannot sit here and blame Tibbs. Like, this, like, again, this was his only option, bro. Like, yeah, so I'm not
You
yeah, bro,
know,
I'm not putting
Zebo,
absolutely no blame on him. Like, come
Zebo,
on, man.
Zebo, Zebo is he's gonna ride for his guy Tiz, man. Pause.
Of course.
He's gonna be loyal to Tiz, man. I respect it. I
Yeah,
respect it.
bro. Like, come
I
on, bro. You
respect it.
cannot
Don
put any
Juan, I'm gonna
blame
kick
on
it to
him.
you. Let me know how you feeling on this topic. Do you believe that Tibbs is causing these injuries with overuse?
I mean, I guess realistically, the the it's not even the person. I guess the only thing to blame is just the circumstances. Like, yeah, Tibbs is the one that controls the minutes, but when you really look down the line at the bench, Tibbs might as well throw us in there too. Realistically, is he gonna throw Jacob Toppin, Jeffries? Like, these are guys that they are G leaguers. Maybe you could point at the finger at management. Maybe they should have added a little more to the back of the bench. But then again, what team has ever dealt with the type of injuries that the Knicks have had? I mean, we literally lost 6 players to already a small rotation. 6 players to our rotation that Tibbs mainly runs 8, and we were down to ninth and 10th man out there playing. So it does suck. I can't say this is Tibbs' fault. It's just circumstances. I do think the whole Tibbs narrative is it's a bit of a low hanging fruit because of stuff that's happened with his past teams. I've pointed out before in previous episodes, and I'm pointing out here today that when he was on the Bulls, a lot of that stuff, yeah, he probably had control of it, but the main problem there was the team doctors that were clearing these players. So if the team doctor is telling you, yo, you're good to go, well, Tibbs is going to play his guy. Back in the days, people were playing 40 some minutes on the regular. But now, because of science and because of LeBron James, he's sitting now and he only plays like now people, they tread carefully now. And I get it, you got to protect the investment. But isn't the goal to win a championship? You got to have your best players out there anyways. So I guess the way I worded it is going to sound like, yeah, blame Tibbs. But realistically, I say blame circumstances. This is a very unfortunate. Honestly, I've never seen a team go this far with such a depleted roster. That if anything, this should big up Tibbs. The injuries, yeah, you could call it wear and tear. I mean, Josh Hart, yes, he plays 48 minutes, but how about the way he plays? He's throwing himself on the ground. He's
every game.
jumping crazy, like he's doing it all. And is that Tibbs' fault? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's applauding him. He's not telling him don't do that, Josh. But at the end of the day, that's how we're getting the wins. I mean, like
Yeah,
like we spoke about earlier, we could have been up in that series 3-0. That changes everything. Maybe get a little extra rest, maybe a little more rest for OG, even though OG looked pretty bad yesterday. That I don't even think any rest would have helped out. But I just felt like is I blame it on circumstances, man. This NBA gods, man. NBA gods setting us up.
don't want to. He's not feeling the NBA gods this episode at all. You know, look, for me personally, I think this topic is so hot because I think you have no wrong answer here. I think both points are good points here. Do does Tibbs overuse his guys that may lead to injuries? Yes, I think so. How many times has it been the Knicks are up 20 points in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go, and you still see Jalen Brunson out there. You still see Julius Randle out there. You still see Josh Hart out there. And it's like most coaches taking out their players and letting the scrubs play for 2 minutes. Not Tibbs. He might play them the whole game, or maybe put in like 30 seconds. You get one possession of Jacob Toppin or something like that. But at the same time, these injuries that happen in these playoffs, it's just hard for anybody to blame it on Tibbs. I mean, Bogdanovich, literally, somebody dived into his ankle and he's out for the season. How is that Tibbs' fault? Julius Randle goes up for a layup. Somebody takes a charge. He falls on his shoulder, out for the season. How are we blaming Tibbs for this? Mitchell Robinson, same thing. Somebody literally grabs his ankle and hurts him. Maybe the Josh Hart, maybe the OG injury, you can blame him, but why is nobody blaming Pacers, even the Pacers coach? Tyrese Halliburton, he hurt his hamstring earlier this season. That really took him out for a while. I don't see it's the NBA, it's professional sports. I mean, injuries happen. They happen, but Tibbs like playing his guys. And the more you're out there, the more prone you are to injury. So that's why I think this topic is such a dynamic an interesting topic because I really strongly believe that both answers you can have great arguments for both spectrums of wherever you sit here. But to sit here and blame him for these Knicks injuries, I feel like it's very narrative driven. I mean, Tibbs just has a bad rep from his Chicago days, from the D Rose injuries, from the Noah's injuries, and that kind of carried in to the Minnesota. Then Zach LaVine tears his AC. Like it's just a whole uh, snowball effect with Tibbs that people like that narrative and it's easy to stick here. But let's be for real. The Knicks they're not getting that far without the coaching job that Tibbs did this year. And we're gonna be talking about an extension coming up. And actually that's a great segue for me. Unless you guys have anything to say about that,
Yeah,
whatever I just said.
yeah, bro. Just one quick point that we're forgetting too, bro, is that the players that he has on this team, bro, like Josh Hart, bro, he wants to play all 48. Like this is not a guy that wants to sub out. Like this is a guy that we've actually heard this man tell Tibbs like, yo, I can go ahead and play all 48 if you need me to, and he empowers his guys to go ahead and do that. So I know there was this survey about all the coaches that we would like to play for. Like the guys that we have on this team, bro, they love playing for Tibbs, bro. They're willing to run through, they're willing to go through a wall for this man. Like it's just like the way our team is constructed. This team, again, we have guys that are willing to play all 48. So I think that's the one thing that I think that's one point that we need to like we definitely need to emphasize too, bro, is that we have guys that want to play every single minute of it. And again, I mean it's worked up to this point. Like again, we had some injuries, and like you said, bro, it is part of the game. But again, this is the way our team is constructed.
But I
It's
think
constructed full of
90%
guys that.
90% of the league players would like to play 48 minutes. I mean, everybody want to
But a
put
lot
that
of coaches
stats up.
don't empower. But a lot of coaches don't empower their players to do that. At least Tibbs, bro.
I
Like
mean, I don't think it's valid.
as much as they call Tibbs a hard ass, bro. I think he empowers people like Jalen, people like Josh Hart to go ahead and do their thing on the court because he knows these are smart players. Like they know exactly what they do once they on the court, bro. So again, like the way this team is constructed, they're built to play all 48, and it's built for them to go ahead and do what they want on the court. Like it just is what it is.
They're a tough, gritty team, but you
Yeah.
can't play 48 minutes a
Nah,
night. It's
it's
just
definitely
not
tough. It's
I mean, but
definitely
it's
sustainable,
worked
bro.
tough.
before. I mean, but it's worked in. I mean, it's worked in wins
Where
before,
has it worked
bro.
before? Where? Show me where has it worked before where players is playing 48 minutes and they winning the championship.
Where Josh, I mean, not winning a championship, but Joshua has won games for us, playing all 48 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna
it's
have to
tough.
agree to disagree there for
It's
sure.
tough. You know what it is like for all 82 games. I mean, all our guys damn near played. Well, besides the regular, usual suspects of the team from Brunson, Dante, and Hart. Them boys played a lot of games, and if anything, the uptick in minutes was probably in the second half of the season. If you check the top players in terms of minutes, there's no Knicks in the top 10. I think Brunson was at 12, but definitely towards the end of the season, there was an uptick for sure. I mean, even the
Yeah,
last game of the season where it's essentially where we clinched that second seed. The Knicks went into overtime, and Tibbs played his guys all through that game, and he didn't budge. I mean, I think we was even up maybe like a good amount, and he was not even looking. I think he brought out the bench with like 10 seconds left. Like that's how crazy Tibbs is, man. But Zebo, I'm glad you brought up the poll because that poll, I was actually having this discussion with my cousin earlier because he tends to be devil's advocate. I would just to put it in a nice way, but he brought up this poll as the way he's gonna counter my point on Coach Tibbs and how I stand with him. And I read the article, and it is very telling when you got a poll like that you got NBA players voicing their opinion, and you know, I believe it was close to 50% of the people voted, a little bit less actually, voted Tom Thibodeau. Well, if you look closely, only there was the the poll only had 77 votes overall out of 450 players in the league. So you
come
got
on.
less than 20%. I think it was 18% of the league voting for that. And one person specifically said, "Oh, I'm too old to run." So that's already a biased person that is already probably like, let's just say in his 35 to 40, because you do have LeBron and Chris Paul that are up there in age. It's probably somewhere in their age group. Well, if somebody's saying that, I understand. Hell yeah, you don't want to be playing under Coach Tibbs, but I need to know more about the demographic of who was getting polled here, because right now you're polling to pretty much paint this picture of Tibbs, which I mean, granted, there is a lot of things that I would say, you could easily say that that's true. But this poll right here being like the cherry on top, nah, man, I can't dig that. And like I said before, man, there's a lot of shady stuff going on in Chicago. I mean, y'all remember Omar Asik? I forgot his name. But
The center,
that's how I
yeah.
pronounce it. But this dude got cleared with a broken foot. Like
Come
just
on,
that, like
bro.
just that tells you that there's no that those doctors weren't in the interest of their players. Derrick Rose. I mean, put it this way: Derrick Rose followed Tibbs every spot he went to, from Minnesota to the Knicks. If Tibbs really ruined his career, you think he would continue signing up for that? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, bro. And the last point I'm gonna make, bro. I mean, when it comes to Coach Tibbs, is that all I know, regardless of whatever teams he's been on, bro, they all make it to the playoffs. They all have a winning record. So I'm willing to sign up for that. Like compared to the other 20 years I've been a Knicks fan, like I'll take a winning record and go into the playoffs every single year. So,
But do they win championships?
but not all 20. It's like Coach Tibbs says, bro. Not all 29 make it, bro. It just is what it is. And like
Listen, I think Zebo, especially, I think we all like doing this, and I'm especially guilty of doing this. But after this season, I think this is my opinion, right? I think it's time to lay rest and put to bed that I haven't seen this in 20 years, or we haven't won like that in my whole lifetime. That's it, bro. We're a good team. Like that's it. We're a good team. Now it's time to get championship level. And this was a great playoff run to test us, to get us ready to gear up for that. But it's time to stop using that. Oh, I'll sign up for that because it's a winning and we never win and
I
stuff like that.
heard that.
That's
I
it.
hear
It's
you.
over. That's the last
I
time I want to hear that from you.
I hear you, but Coach Tibbs is the reason why you're able to say that. If not, then
No, Jalen
it is what it
Brunson is
is.
the reason we can say that. All right, let's not give Tibbs all the credit in the world, man. We saw Tibbs here a year without Jalen Brunson, and that did not look pretty
We
at
made it
all.
to the playoffs. We made it to the playoffs.
Did not make it to the playoff that season.
No, it was one for one, one and one. So
Yeah,
one year he made
exactly.
it, the other year he did.
Exactly. So let's table the tips conversation because we're gonna talk a lot about tips this off season. And I know we're getting ready. We're getting ready, but you know, I'm not hating on Tibbs, man. He really did a lot, adjusted well this season. I'm impressed. I'll sign him up to that extension. But let's talk more about extension later on, because I think that's a conversation that's coming. I do want to get your opinion on this topic that's going to be hot as well this off season. Should the Knicks stay the course, or should the Knicks run it back? There was a lot of discussion today, especially on ESPN. KG, he actually said that this Knicks team is perfect. Run it back. Like you have everything you need. You got you got your dog in Brunson. You got Julius Randle. You got OG. Um, I think it was I don't even want to say his name, but he said the same thing on a Get Up, on one of the show Get Up. He believes that the Knicks should run it back. And there was an article on the Athletic by Fred Katz where he said the Knicks still have hopes of signing that big player, like making that big trade that they've been hoarding these first round picks. So I do want to get your opinion on this topic right here. Should the Knicks run it back or go big name hunting, Don Juan?
So this is a great topic because this is almost like an off season where it's probably might be one of those off seasons where we're gonna see not just one but a few superstars being available. And like Triple M mentioned, we have these picks that we've been hoarding, and we have two specifically in this draft. And the last 3, 4 drafts, we've seen the Knicks trade out of it. So it's gonna be interesting how they handle that. But I do feel like we should run it back, but almost like we're tools. So I, I say that to say, like, look, we got Bogey for a reason. Obviously he was helpful during the playoffs, but we got him. The bigger picture reason we got him is because of that contract. I do feel like we could package up a deal where we could improve the starting lineup a bit. So for the one player, and it sucks because he has such a great season. Probably should have been in the most improved conversation. But personally, I think Dante is best as a six man. He's an undersized shooting guard, and I feel like if we could improve the shooting guard position, it would be nice. I mean, there's players that we could bring up. I mean, I wouldn't go for Donovan Mitchell, but someone in the likes of Mikal Bridges, even though he's more of a small forward. But imagine us line up with Mikal Bridges and OG. But also, and I know not that many people are fans of his, but Paul George. I mean, Paul George, he's a little older now, but in terms of being a complementary piece, he might be the perfect fit. He plays off ball, a good wing defender, good size, efficient scorer, could shoot from. I mean, all around he could drive, midi, 3-pointer. I mean, the guy has a three-level game on offense, and then you add the defense. Humble guy, willing passer. Like he's not a guy that's gonna try to take the shine away from Brunson. And then Macau, another Villanova guy. So why wouldn't we, entertain that? Add another one to the bunch. Preferably, I prefer PG, but that might be the tough ask based on what it would take to trade for him. That might have to include a Randall. Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, PG definitely has a bit of leverage because he could easily opt out and be a free agent, or he could work with the Clippers and say, "Look, I'll opt in, trade me to the team I want, and at least y'all could get some picks in return, some expiring contracts, and that could work in your favor." So there's definitely ways to get him as well. It just would take a lot of people behind the scenes coming, agreeing to it working out. And then
It,
Macau, do the Nets really want to play ball with the Knicks? This
uh,
recently, the Nets were offered honestly a crazy package from the Rockets, and they didn't fold. They seem like they want to build around Mikal Bridges. So it, that seems a little bit less realistic. But hey, you never know. This offseason is going to be a lot of things moving around. I know the Nets are also big game hunting, so that's another reason why I probably don't see that happening. But if I were to make a move, it's almost like making an improvement in that starting lineup. So in a
hey
sense, it's like
man,
running it back, but yeah, not really.
not really. It doesn't sound like you want to earn it back. It sounds like you trying to make a couple moves,
Hey,
Don
trying to
Juan. I
make a couple
see.
moves. You listed like five, six guys you want to
Yeah.
add to the team already.
And just piggybacking on that Paul George topic, I've been a fan of Paul George for a long time on the show. I've been saying that, like, I would love Paul George. And he's CAA. So do you want to make those noise in the background? You could do it with the CAA. The only thing is that the man is turning 35. He's gonna demand at least 3 to 4 years and 200 million. Do you really want to do that? And like, is really replacing Julius Randle with Paul George, is that really an improvement, or is it kind of like a linear kind of thing? So those are key questions,
Yeah, no, that's a
that
fact. But that's why I
we could
said
talk about.
in hopes that we could keep Randall. I think
Yeah,
that I feel like we gotta stack the deck almost. We
and
can't like
The Clippers, they're moving into that new arena. They're not really looking to get picks. They're really looking
that's
for
true.
impactful players. But look, I would love Paul George on this team. He's like, he'll fit like OG. He'll fit like a glove. You
Hmm.
mentioned the playing the off the ball. Like, that's what he does. He's a knockdown shooter on the spot up. Could play the two, could play the three. We'll have just Paul George and OG on the
Hmm.
wing. Oh my God,
The
that'd be
versatility is
great.
gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
And
but
then
the
the
man is only
caveat
playing
there.
50 games a season though.
Well, he played 74 this year, so.
Of course,
But I feel
contract
like the
year.
caveat
You
there
know
is
that that's
also
coming.
which is
Contract
why I
year.
would like Randall even there is that Randall and PG are really good friends.
Yeah,
I think PG. I mean, the money has to be a factor in terms of not signing that contract extension. I know that we've been getting into PG a little bit too long
yeah. I
or
mean, he
more
was
than
on
we
the
wanted,
podcast.
but
Randall was on the
he
podcast.
he's tired. He's tired of. I'm pretty sure he's tired of playing with Kawhi. that's been he's pretty much been handcuffed to Kawhi, and Kawhi has been so unreliable,
Yeah, his
and
knee is
the
not good.
Clippers hasn't been something that, although he definitely wanted to go to LA, it hasn't been as promising as he probably thought it would be.
See, it's crazy. Oh yeah, see, yeah. I was initially inclined to just let's just run it back because just seeing the chemistry that the Villanova guys got, like I don't know if bringing somebody in is just gonna it's gonna mess up that chemistry. And I mean we've already solidified that Jalen Brunson is a superstar. So whoever that we do bring in has to kind of he kind of has to fit Brunson's game, which means that whoever does come here has to know that okay, I'm not gonna have the ball in my hands every single time. Like this is the guy that's gonna have the ball most of the time, and so that's the reason why I'm most inclined to bring him back. But man, all the names y'all bringing up, I ain't gonna lie, the only name that was on my mind, man, was KD. Like
I know it.
that's really the guy that like would just like if you telling me we have a chance for somebody, KD is the guy. Like I know we gonna have that conversation this summer, but
Hold on, you
yeah,
just said that we have to incorporate players to fit with Brunson, and the guy you would like is KD.
facts, facts.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Bro, we've seen KD with a guy. We've seen KD play with a guy that has the ball in his hands most of the time.
Multiple
And he
times,
and he
multiple
won,
times.
and he won 2 chips with that guy. So yeah, he works perfectly. Like again, this is one of the top 10 scorers, like literally one of the top 10 scorers, like in this league, like top two best basketball players ever in my life. Like if he wants to rewrite his wrongs, like he comes to New York. Like for all the mistakes he made of going to Brooklyn, doing the Phoenix thing, like if you really want to have a storybook ending to your career, you come there. But again, I don't know if that's gonna, again, if that's just because y'all was bringing up names, and that's the
So
only person
Zebo,
I had
you
on my
want to
mind.
run it back? You
Wow.
want to run it back?
I want to run it back, bro. To be honest with you, with the team we
Okay.
have now, I would run it back. Like again, I just keep thinking I hate playing the hypothetical game, bro. But out of the four teams that are left, out of the four teams are left. If we had a healthy team, bro, out of the four teams left in the playoffs, I'll be honest, bro. I think we're number one. I just honestly think that. I just honestly think that. I mean, y'all know how I feel about Randall. When he's on it, he is one of the he is one of the best he's one of the best power forwards in the league, and so, and we saw that combination with him, OG and Brunson. It just work. It just works out perfectly. You're talking about, and then again, you don't have Josh Hart playing 48 minutes when you do have a person like Randall, when you have Bogdanovich, when you have that depth. And I know this offseason that there's big decisions that have to be made, specifically with Randall, because it seems like from what I'm hearing, it seems like he's going to be a big trade piece. The number that he has on his contract is very like it's it's a good contract for a lot of teams. Like again, it doesn't eat up that much money. I know OG is come on. I know OG's contract is coming up. I don't know what that's looking like, but from
40.
from what everyone is saying is looking like 40. I'm hoping it's not, to be honest with y'all, but
It's gonna be
you
40.
never know. You never know. It might be 30. It might be
It's not gonna
30.
be. It's not gonna
Like,
be
come
30.
on. I did.
It's just not gonna be 30, bro. Just
I listen. I
I'm
get it.
giving
With the
you the
assets we give up,
expectation.
you know
It's
what, bro?
not
We
gonna be
we we
30.
we gonna we gonna talk about that, and I get it because with the assets we gave up, it
Exactly.
is what it is. But man, with this injury history, I know it has to be a little scary. But I mean the numbers back it up, bro, and the record speaks for itself. Like when he's on the floor, like he gives us a really great chance. And so,
Exactly.
and like I said, I
That's
like
why
the
it's gonna be
chemistry. The
40.
one thing I will disagree with Don Juan is that I actually like Dante as our solidified number two, man. Like I just think he's a great cat. He's a great 3-point shooter. He plays defense. I know he's a little bit undersized, but I think for the number that we have him right, I think for the contract that we have him now and for the production he brings in, I think even next year will be an even better season for Dante. So I just like the chemistry with the guys we have right now, and like I said, I think with a healthy team, I think with a fully healthy team, like there's no one in the East that can, um, even with Giannis coming back, you don't know what Miami's gonna do. Boston is still gonna be Boston, basically the same team, and so I think, like I said like I said during the season, I think we're right there with Boston and Milwaukee. So yeah, for me, I would be inclined to bring it back.
That's fair. Yeah, I was
Zebo,
looking at
man.
KD stats while you were talking there, and yo,
It look crazy,
he actually
right?
did pretty good this year. That's
Bro,
stats. So
he
you
looked
know, there's a lot
great.
of
I mean, it's
context.
Kevin Durant. We know
He's
who he
Kevin
is.
Durant, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like we
But
know who he is.
look,
So
Zebo, you said you like the crowd and the culture that the Knicks are building here. And then you want to bring this dark cloud in Kevin Durant, who's ran from the smoke literally his entire NBA career, left OKC, left Golden State, left Brooklyn, now will leave Phoenix. like, I just, I love, I do Kevin Durant, man. Top 10 NBA player, probably gonna go down as one of the best scorers all time. But he's past his prime, man. Those days are over. Wanting
I
Kevin
don't
Durant,
know.
I mean, those days, there's just it would just be like a dark cloud the the the
I
fun
don't think
Knicks,
so.
the
I don't
gritty,
think.
the exciting Knicks. Bro, everywhere he goes, there's like extreme pressure. There hasn't been anywhere that he's gone where it's been like all like what we just had, what we just experienced this season. You know what
But
I
I
mean?
think at this point, but bro, I mean, again,
He's not
like you
changing.
stated,
He's 36 years old.
that's fine. But that's what I'm saying. Like if he wants to end his career the right way, he like this is the team he has to come. And like you said, bro, at this point, like we're an elite team. Like we're not up and coming no more. Like again, we have championship aspirations moving forward, and moving forward, if that's the type of that's the type of guy we need to bring in, like with those type of because he has championship aspirations, and so you bring a guy like that in. I want to believe that if he comes to this type of team, he's willing. Like he knows, like okay, you know what? I have Brunson. I have the point guard that I need to kind of get everything stable. I have the guys that are willing to do all the dirty work, that are willing to, kind of play their role. And all I literally have to do is just create my own offense, which is if I gotta spot up, that's the amazing thing about Kevin Durant, bro. Like he can be a spot up 3-point shooter. Like he doesn't have to create a shot every single time. And I think he knows that, especially at this age, like he doesn't have to go crazy every single time. And you bring him to a team like this where everything is pretty much already set, like the foundation is set. I think you just you adding him in is like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, man. I just feel like you put that foundation in, and then you bring in something that's very heavy and it's gonna shake the foundation a little bit. I'm just not with it. For real, I'm
I
just
mean,
not with it.
he has done that everywhere he's landed at, besides Golden State. But Brooklyn, there was a promising young team similar to what the Knicks. I mean, obviously in a different way. I feel like they never got to the point of 51 team, but culture with starting with their coach in Atkinson, and then a bunch of young guys, whether it's the D'Los or even Spencer Dinwiddie, figuring it out. And then in Phoenix was just in the finals a couple years back, and then KD comes, everybody gets thrown out, trades here, new coach, like a lot of things happens when KD comes into the team. But as what you kind of said that Triple M, you said we enough about the culture, and not so much the culture, but thinking about, yeah, but we never had that. And I do think, not that I want KD. I'm looking at his stats and it's pretty impressive though. But but you know, we have to get serious and make a gamble. Is this the right guy? Maybe not.
Nah,
And but time will tell. Time will tell. We have seen him try to at least buy into the culture before he starts demanding stuff. Maybe Tom Thibodeau isn't the coach for him, but a lot of people say that, and then
exactly.
maybe based off how the mentality of the surrounding players, that could persuade him to be like, maybe it's not so bad. But I do remember him being actually one of the biggest names that has criticized Tom Thibodeau. Not
Yeah,
sure
man. I
where,
mean,
I've
look,
heard it
we've
somewhere.
been talking about Kevin Durant and Paul George. It's way too long these episodes already at this point. But just a last point on KD before I make my point. Zebo's talking about like we gonna get KD for just draft picks. He said Julius Randle's gonna still be here. No, Randle's gone. If
Yeah, yeah.
KD's here,
Randall will be
I,
Randle's
gone.
gone.
Paul George is
DiVincenzo's
gone
gone.
too. Paul George is gone too.
For no, but
I
this
mean,
is
if we bring in Paul George, like,
this is what Don Juan mentioned. Like this is that CAA connection. Randall and George are friends. This is that backdoor stuff where Paul George is like, I'm leaving. He's a free agent this summer. Literally a free agent this summer. He
Hmm.
has all the leverage.
I don't think he's gonna leave though. I just don't. I just don't think
Why
the Clippers
not?
gonna make a
They
leave
they
like
signed
that, bro.
Kawhi a long time ago. This Paul George, the longer it takes, the longer it's kind of like what's going on.
But they building a new stadium. Like, I think they're gonna entice him for him to stay. Like, I just
But
don't
bro,
think
it's
the.
just that this is why I really think this NBA offseason is gonna be the craziest offseason we ever seen. That second
I think so
CBA,
too.
everybody's watching from that. Everybody's watching that already. That tax line, you do not want to go above it because after that, your team is screwed. You can't do
Hmm.
nothing. Your draft pick is
I
frozen.
feel you.
You
And
can't
by the way,
aggregate
I never
contracts.
mentioned Randall. I never mentioned Randall with that rotation. No, like in
You
all the
said the
things he's
foundation is in place. Randall's not part of the
with
foundation.
Brunson. Nah, I honestly at this if we talking about bringing a guy in like KD,
Oh my
I was talking
Zebo, he's
about
flipped.
Brunson,
Yo,
Josh
you
Hart.
switching up on
I'm
your
nah nah
board.
nah nah
You
nah.
switching up on your board.
Bro, it just
That was
bro,
pretty surprising.
it is what it is, bro. Like whatever big move the Knicks are making, Randall is gonna be a big piece, which I did
Mm.
emphasize. Like that contract that he has is enticing for a lot of teams. And again,
No,
this is
you're
an
right.
all
You did say
NBA
that.
player. Like
I mean, he's a
unfortunately, it
free
is what
agent
it
next
is.
season. He's a free agent next season. So
And I don't
teams
think they'll
have
give him
to,
an
if they
expense
make a
like he
trade for him, they have to think about him long term, and
Long
that's
nah,
term,
why
yeah.
he's gonna be.
and the Knicks aren't gonna extend him, especially right now because he just had surgery. So yeah, bro, he's unfortunately, bro. As much as I love my guy, like it's just right now he's in a tough spot right now.
Nah, I think he's gonna be all right. I think he still has that player. If he could play next season, if he gets hurt or whatever the case might be, he just pick up his option. Or if he balls out like he's been doing, he's gonna get paid. So he's in a great predicament right now.
Yeah.
I don't
I
feel
don't
bad for
know.
Randall. He's
I
sitting
do.
good.
I
He's a
do, bro.
three-time
I
All
ain't gonna lie.
Star. In the last 3 years, he's been an all. In the last 4 years, he's been an All Star 3 times. You come back next season, the team is set. They running plays. They're gonna do run for you. He's playing for Coach Tibbs, who's gonna play you 40 minutes a night. You're gonna put up your stat. He's good right now. Don't get me wrong. But just
No, I
quickly
don't
on my
know, bro.
point, running it back or making a trade. You know me, fellas. I want to see a trade. I do. I want to see it. That's it, man. Like Dante DiVincenzo and the Nova guys, I like them. I love them. But I feel like Dante's the sixth man. Josh Hart's the seventh man. Now you need to add more talent into that starting rotation. I'm not getting googly eyes off Dante DiVincenzo of these playoffs because if you look at the championship teams for the last 20 years, it's been top 15 NBA players there. Now, you can make that argument that JB is that top 15 NBA player for us now, but we still need a little bit more because, Julius Randle is unfortunate, but we didn't see him again this playoff. And that's like the problem. We just don't know what Randle comes out in the playoffs because he struggled for so many years. You can make the arguments why he struggled, and I agree with those arguments, but once again, you don't see it. So do you go the whole next season again and going into the playoffs without knowing what you're gonna get from Randall? So it's just I think it's time to cash in those chips because we're gonna get expensive quick. OG is gonna cost us 40 million, even though Zebo doesn't want to admit it. He's gonna cost us 40 million. Jalen Brunson, he's coming in. He's gonna cost you 50 million, close to 60 million. So this is the summer to do it, fellas. This is the summer to do it. Get all that talent in there, and you got a nice little 3-4 year window to finally end this title drought. That's where I want to see, man. I want to see this title drought end. Think about it. If you're 53 years old, you never seen the Knicks win title, man. I do not want to be a 53-year-old and never see a Knicks win a title because after these playoffs, I'm tired, man. I'm about to detox for a whole month because I was going crazy every night. I was going out. So I could only imagine if we win that title. So listen, I think this is the summer. I think this has to be the summer where we make our move because I'm just thinking future wise. Next year, Brunson's gotta get signed. OG's gonna be here. He's already signed. You know, what are you gonna do with Randall? Let's say you keep Randall, just in this hypothetical that we're doing. He's gonna get paid, you know? So now you in that second tax, and it's like, okay, like this team is not working, or whatever the case might be. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. Give me the names, you know, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Bridges. There's gonna be so many movements this year, fellas. It's gonna be crazy, you know. And
Yeah.
thankfully, we don't get paid millions of dollars to have to make these tough decisions because it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. There's gonna be so much player movement and stuff that we don't see. Um, but I want us to be aggressive. I don't want us to just take this season, which was a great season. Don't get me wrong. We haven't talked about what a great season it was much, just because we've been recapping the tough loss. But I don't want us to do the mistake that we did a few years ago, where we made the playoffs and we're like, "Oh, let's run it back," and then we ran it back and it was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want to do that same mistake. Obviously, the circumstances are different. Players are different, but I hit the
Now we hear you. We hear you.
Now we hear you. There you go.
yeah. So yeah, man, that's just my two takes here on this topic.
That's good points. I mean, and that last one was pretty hard hitting because after making that run in what was that 2021, I felt like we all were like, yeah, run it back, yeah, bought in Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks. I think they were all due up a contract, and then we picked up Kemba, we picked up Fournier, which was like positions of need, or we,
Hmm.
we added another scorer. But man, that was just a smack to the face,
Disaster. Yeah.
and realistically, just face reality because the following year, who the Hawks beat us that year, we made the playoffs. They fell flat on their face as well. So it's just very telling that at the end of the day, even if you make a run, have a good year like the Knicks versus this year, everybody else is improving. Everybody else is making moves. So if
Success is
you
not
if you
promised. Good point.
if you pretty much run it back, you're pretty much with that same roster, everybody might make improvements. I mean, the Bucks, who were one of the favorites in the East, dealt with some injuries this year. Also, coaching change. Then you got Philly. Philly's gonna come back improved with an open slot. Paul George might even entertain that going there because he's a free agent. They got some money to spend. Like there's teams out there that's gonna
And we
be
might
big,
lose
big game
iHeart.
hunting,
I don't want to cut you off. We might lose iHeart.
and that too. I mean, he might be priced
Nah,
out.
he gonna get paid. Nah, yeah, he's
Yeah,
definitely getting paid.
he's
And
gonna
what?
get
So what? A
paid.
backup is precious. Like I don't know how sustainable that is.
We gotta see, man. We
Yeah,
gotta
bro.
see. It's
Nah,
gonna
yeah,
be it's
bro.
gonna be an
Nah.
amazing off season. I agree. It's gonna be an amazing off season. But fellas, let's end the show here. And I just want to go around briefly and just give your final thoughts here as the season winds down. Not wind down. It's over. Season's over. The season's not winding down. It's officially over. But you know the great thing about the NBA is that it's so fast. Like you talk about the
hmm
draft is 1 month away. You know, and then free agency right there. So just constant excitement here. But it's just about this season specifically, man. I'll go first. What a season! What a absolutely amazing season. 50 wins, second seed, and you talk about improvements. We talked about a lot on this show. Like last year, you're the fourth seed, you get eliminated in the second round. This year, you want to go a little higher. This year, you could tell that we was on that trajectory to go high. We was on our way. There's just no ifs, ands about it. But we got bit by the injury bug. But you still like that progression, you know. You still like the direction we're going. So this season was an overwhelming success. Now, the question is, how do we improve? And that's going to be the biggest question of the offseason because the Knicks have two first round picks. They're going to be tight with money. What happens with iHeart? Mitchell Robinson, can you depend on him to be your starting center? I'm not sure. It's just been a few years of just injury, bad luck. It's time to like really look into that. And you know, you got to OG is going to be the number one priority, obviously. But I just want to just kind of look into the season in totality, man. And you kind of you like the foundation that we're building. You like the where we're going and the system that's here, the Knicks are a tough team. They're a gritty team. They're a team that the city rallied behind. I mean, it was just amazing to walk around New York for the past 2, 3 weeks with my Knicks hoodie on. It's like everybody would stop you, talk to you, like, yo, what's going on? We was outside most of these games. It was like a family affair. Everywhere we went, Knicks fans was just wild and doing all these things, crazy events. But it was special. It was special, and I hope that we can just catch this because I remember that season where it was special too, and the next year we'll be flat on our face. So let's see where we go. But Don Juan, what's your closing statements here on this season finale?
Well, you mentioned a lot of the things that I probably would have said as well because we've seen this trajectory. This trajectory has been building for the last 3 4 years now, and we saw the stepping stones, the blocks that this front office was putting out there. Maybe there was a little bit of some little rough patches there after making the playoffs that 1 year, but I would say that everything's been calculated. A lot of marginal improvements, of course, but it's time to act. It's time to act. They definitely got the advantage of getting whether it's Brunson, Randall on good contracts initially, then you Devo, iHeart, even Mitchell Robinson, although he's still injury prone in a way, but these are deals that create opportunities where, for instance, not to compare players, but almost like how the Warriors built their team. They got Curry at a pretty fair contract, and Harrison Barnes happens to be up for a contract, but his max money is essentially the same that KD would get. And then when you look at it, who would you prefer? I mean, of course you're gonna pick KD. So I feel like the Knicks are in that situation right now where they have some contracts, because players don't become free agents anymore, so they have an opportunity to make the move. And it took us a while to get here, man, because we've been fans for 20 odd years or so, and then we're showing our age, but and we're still pretty young, I would say. But 20 some years, and we had a good run in 2013, and that was short lived. And although short lived, that was the first taste of actually having a star. Melo was in the conversation of one of the better players in the league. At least me being a fan. I mean, when I became a fan was we got Marbury, and you can't compare Marbury and Melo. But now that we got Brunson and we got a true one that we could like. I mean, even though some there's still the naysayers, but most of the fan base, especially after this playoff run, could definitely say that he's someone you could build around. Whether you say he's a one or a two, you definitely could agree he is a block on our team that we could build around. And I get it. This playoff run definitely gave me enough confidence. Like this dude could even be in the MVP conversation one day, even though he should have been this year. But even like really be up there because you give this guy some help, bro. Like look how easy it was for him to score on like Philly that was throwing two at him. At one point, it was the same against the Pacers, although he probably ran out of gas there. But this is a guy that could really be one of the best scorers in the league. And mind you, he's 6 feet tall. So, and he's doing it with the best of them. So, Knicks definitely got one. I'm excited about the future. Definitely, didn't expect to be having this conversation yet, which was hoping for a little bit of playoff run. Predictions, at least expectations for me was ECF. And we didn't get there, but it doesn't mean I'm completely disappointed because there's definitely a story behind the madness. There was a lot of injuries, too much to overcome, and the Knicks were literally on their last legs. And I feel like there's some people that are clearly ignoring that just to prove their narratives and push their agendas. But come on now, this team was pretty good this year, and I could imagine how much better we could have been if we had OG and Randall all year long. Like, look how special the year was. But imagine if we were all healthy the whole time. We had Mitchell Robinson starting the year, you know, having a career year. Julius Randle seemed to be fitting or finding a way to mesh with Brunson. And then obviously there was some tough moves to be made in trading some of our young bloods in RJ and Quigley. but look how much it helped our team. And realistically, that's probably what's gonna have to happen this summer as well. That's part of the reality of building a team. But I think that as much as fall in love with the player, we can't forget that we're fans of the team, and that's been something that I feel like as Knicks fans has been tough because you even see when we faced OB this playoff run, there was a lot of fans that I hope OB does this thing, pay back the Knicks. I'm like, "But aren't you a Knicks fan? Like, what the hell's going on here, man?" So let's not forget who we fans of, man. But definitely excited for this off season. Big game hunting or not, it's gonna be interesting because a lot of dominoes gonna fall, not just us, but the league as a whole.
Yeah, no, this league is gonna go crazy. You look at the NFL's off season. That was pretty. That's gonna be the telling. The NFL season had a lot of moving pieces. But
Yeah.
Zebo,
Yeah, bro. For me, memorable season, bro. Like this is a season I'm never gonna forget. I mean, we finally got our superstar, bro. The guy that we thought we would be, going through free agency, going through all these different, um, types of like ways that we would find it. But who knew it would be some dude we would sign for 100 mil, and it's crazy because initially we thought that was pretty high, like, and so. The fact that we were able to find somebody, a second round pick, is just insane, bro. And everybody on this team, man, just exceeded expectations. Like, and not even the players, bro. Coaching staff, they did their thing, man. Like they made some decisions throughout the season that really benefited this team, man. Like you said too, Don Juan, the front office, bro. Like, they made decisions too with players that we really liked and that we, obviously like we did have this attachment to them where we didn't want to see them, like we wanted to develop them and see where it was gonna go, and they made the decision to let a lot of these players go, and it was for the better, man. And so for me, just a memorable season, and like you said, Mario, like moving forward, bro. Like, yeah, this is the opportunity right now where, a championship is in sight, bro. Like I was telling Don Juan during the season, like I could see the roadmap to the finals, and like I told y'all, like with the four teams that are currently in the playoffs right now, with us fully healthy, I give us the best shot. Like especially with Denver being eliminated, I would have given us a shot with Boston for sure. So, yeah,
mm,
man, just a memorable season. Obviously, we had bad luck on our side, but it still doesn't take away from the great season we had. So, yeah, man, the just amazing season.
yes, sir, man. Great point all around, fellas. Look for us as well, Knicks Wild podcast. It was a great season for us. We rebranded on the fly, kept it consistent for the most part, and met a lot of great people. Met a lot of great people, had a lot of great conversation. And, it's great to look back at the wrong takes, the good takes, the unknown takes. And it's pretty. That's what it's all about. But thank you for connecting. Thank you for subscribing. Big off season. We'll be right here talking about it, discussing about it, cutting ass on each other about it, man. You already know the vibes. Triple M, Don Juan, and Zebo in the building, man. Salute to y'all. Peace.